This is a COMM Week SU TV 84 talk show, a production of the BIson Information Network, and is brought to you by Deek's Pizza and the NDSU Bookstore.
Hello and welcome back to COMM Week, live outside the bookstore in the Memorial Union. I'm Jake Cheetah, joined now by two very important people on campus, men's athletic director Gene Taylor and women's athletic director Lynn Dorn. Now Gene, what exactly is your role as an athletics director at a college?
Try to stay out of the way and not make any mistakes. Don't mess it up. I think the main role is just offer support to the coaches and the staff, and do whatever I can to make sure their jobs are much easier to perform. Obviously, there's a lot of details with budgets and staffing and those sorts of things, but primarily it's really just being there for support and answering questions and making sure they have everything they need to be successful.
Now, Lynn, what is the best or most exciting part of being an athletic director?
I think both Gene and I would probably say the student athletes. It's an opportunity to watch young people perform. It's an opportunity to watch young people grow and to really provide them, like Gene said, with resources and to see the celebrations that occur because of that.
Now, with the performances, we've had some great performances by the student athletes in the last couple of years, especially the football team. They have back-to-back national championships. What's it mean to NDSU to have those two national championships?
Oh, I think, it's what it means is primarily the exposure that it brings to not only our athletic program at the university to be able to be on that many times national televised, whether it's the two national championship games or the semifinal games the last 2 years. But primarily it just tells the strength of our overall athletic program. Football certainly is one that's had a long tradition of success with the 8 previous national championships. And I think there was an expectation going into the move to Division I, if there was a program that had an opportunity for national championship, it would be football. And the fact we've been able to win 2 back-to-back says a lot about our coaches, says a lot about the commitment of our student athletes and our community and our fan base, our students, everybody that supported that program. You don't win back-to-back without a ton of support from the students to the community to the great coaches and athletes that have been part of that.
Now, you mentioned the success at Division II. You were a big help in moving this program to Division I. Did you ever expect that they would be at the top of their game this fast?
Well, Lynn and I talk about that, how at some point when we made the decision to move to Division I, what do we survive it both mentally and job-wise. But, I think there was a commitment early on that we were going to be successful. And there was an expectation by our coaches and our fans that we weren't going to make the move just to change our Roman numeral, that we needed to be successful. To win a national championship 2 or 3 years after being Division I eligible is probably a surprise, but the conference championships and the success level, I would say those were the expectations of our coaches and our community going into the move, that we would be successful.
Now, looking ahead to next season, Montana State did buy out the game against the BIson, so they do not want to play us. How do you decide what opponents you're going to have in any given season?
Well, it's a lot of, at least with football in particular, all the other coaches do their own scheduling, but in football, there's a lot of things that go into it. It's certainly, we need a guaranteed game. We want to play a BCS type opponent. And then within our non-conference schedule, what makes the most sense? We always look for a good home and home. The Montana State was one of those. Montana coming up in a couple of years. And then some opponents that we can, hopefully have a chance to be successful with, but always playing an FCS opponent. So that was a game we were all looking forward to. I think the Montana State fans were looking forward to. So it's a disappointment that they're not going to be there, but we're working hard to fill that spot.
Is there any update on any potential teams you might play?
I wish I could give you breaking news right now that we had a game, but unfortunately there's not. And we're working at this point, doing everything from, we were hoping to get a home game, and we're still working hard to get that. But if not, then we'll fill it with a game, whatever we can, even if we have to go on the road. So, but I wish I had breaking news for you, but I don't, unfortunately.
Thanks, Steve. Well, when we come back, we will talk more about the amount of success that NDSU has had.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Watch SU TV News on Cable One. Produced by students of BIson Information Network, we promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SU TV News on Cable One Channel 14. Brought to you in part by Stop and Go.
Welcome back to COMM Week outside the bookstore in the Memorial Union. I'm Jake Cheetah, joined by Gene Taylor and Lynn Dorn. Now, Lynn, we've talked about success with football at Division I, but women's track and field has found a lot of success at Division I. Since moving up to Division I, they have not lost a Summit League championship. What do you think leads to all of this success?
Well, I think there are a lot of intangibles, perhaps, but some of the tangibles are really our head coach, Ryan Godfrey, and the staff that he's assembled. Just they're quality coaches. I know that he works with Coach Ralston and Stevie Keller, and those three guys alone have just got a wealth of information. And then I think, again, just the quality of the institution, right? North Dakota State University just offers an outstanding academic career path for our student athletes, and so they get on campus, they love the field, they love the energy, and it really doesn't matter what sport you're in at NDSU. You just get a lot of good feedback of being a student athlete. And then, of course, the women themselves. Ryan has done an outstanding job recruiting very, very talented athletes. And you put those athletes in the brand new Ellingson Sports Complex, and you've got a formula for success. So I think there's a lot of tangibles, and then yet there's a lot of intangibles, which would be, I think, the quality and the character of all of our women athletes.
6 straight indoor championships, 11 straight overall. How much do you think this, plus the new facility, helps with recruiting new athletes for the future?
I think it's immeasurable. I think anytime that you have an opportunity to be a part of a successful program, if you're an athlete that aspires to compete against the best, be a part of the best, it's really nice. And as Gene said, you know, the responsibility of providing resources. His efforts are that we get out and we get to do California, we get to do Stanford. I mean, there's a lot of places that we go because of committing to resources. So the student athlete knows that, and then like we said, coupled with that indoor track facility, it's a pretty tough combination to beat.
Now, sticking with track, but moving over to the men's side, Andy Lilliard became an All-American this season, one of 2 All-Americans that BIson men had in winter sports. What does that mean to NDSU to be having All-Americans at Division I?
Well, I think it says a lot about the program. I think it's a measuring stick for the program to have All-Americans, and what people need to understand how difficult it is to become an All-American, particularly in an individual sport. The pressure of that, they have to finish in the top 8, and the work that it takes to become an All-American. So it really says a lot about the sport itself, but it really says a lot about those individuals, because the pressure, the amount of work that they put into it, the effort that it takes, the competition level is at such a high level. So it collectively says a lot about the program. But those individuals, they're on the stage by themselves. The pressure is on them, and they to perform at that level in those arenas, so to speak, at the national championships. It really says a lot about them as individuals.
And once again, do you think that these All-Americans will help with recruiting? Because athletes can look at this and see that they have an All-American that they can train with.
Well, clearly, without question, it does. And coaches can say, we've got so many All-Americans or so many top 10 finishes or whatever the case may be. But it really does help recruiting. It really solidifies the program to say, we've got quality athletes, come here and be a quality athlete. You now have a chance to be yourself an All-American if you come to North Dakota State.
Now, athletes like Andy Lilliard and Trent Sprinkle, do you think they're just the first of many for NDSU?
Well, it's certainly not the first. Obviously, we've had other ones, but we do hope there are many more coming. But it is very difficult, and I think to expect that we're going to have them on a regular basis would be unrealistic. But certainly to have them, I think the future is bright to have many more down the road.
Now, last June we saw the 40th anniversary of Title IX passing. The anniversary is coming up again, the 41st year. What does Title IX mean to someone like you who works a lot with female athletes?
Goodness, 40 years worth of it. I've been on the stage that long. It has really been an interesting ride at North Dakota State University because philosophically, Jake, what we've done is we've done the right thing. I don't know that we've done it because it's a male athlete or a female athlete, and I think our leadership in the partnership that Jean and I have, and in particular the commitment from the president for all the years that I've been here has been just amazing to athletes in general and also to women athletes. So what it means is that we've enjoyed an unbelievable and sometimes I would call even an unprecedented level of success. Our women are valued at North Dakota State University. We have great collegiality between the men and women coaches. Our student athletes really embrace each other, and we celebrate as a program. It's not as women and men anymore as it is just a program, a celebration. So I think the days of structure of the women's athletics, the men's athletics, I just don't feel that voice is there anymore because North Dakota State University has done a great job making a commitment to all of sport.
Now this weekend we saw Fargo's second or even third winter come through. What does that mean to the spring sports as far as softball goes? They can't get out on the field to practice outdoors right now.
You know, Jake, I'm not sure what we're going to do. As you know, we're scheduled to host the Summit League May 9th, 10th, and 11th. We put a phone call in this morning to the Summit League just to see if there would be a possible plan in place, a backup plan that they would require. Have not heard from them. But we're going to be optimistic and we're going to get the Summit League Championship in here. But what we've done is we've really tried very hard to keep the schedule as fluid as we can. For example, we're supposed to play tomorrow and on Wednesday against South Dakota State. If we can't, the following week is when we're going to get it in, the 23rd and 24th. And if that doesn't work, we'll drive down on the 23rd and 24th. So the goal is to keep getting those competitions in so we have a chance to really prepare our women for the Summit League.
Now, Jean, when you have weather like this in Fargo where it's unpredictable in the spring, you might have snow, you might have floods, how difficult is it to plan the schedules of those spring sports?
Well, I think the scheduling and the planning is not as difficult because you just schedule like you wouldn't have those issues, Jake, unfortunately. You know, last year at this time we played outside baseball, outside softball, people were golfing. So it becomes a real source of frustration for the coaches because like Lynn said, now all of a sudden you're reacting and you're moving games to location, you're trying to find places south and just redoing your whole schedule, finding hotel rooms. So it becomes, and you need home games. You want to have home games because you feel comfortable at home, you have more success at home. And from a classroom perspective, missing classes, the more we're on the road, all of that becomes an issue. But you know, our coaches are great, they adjust, our athletes are tremendous, they adjust and they just keep performing and hopefully that whether they're home or road that they can get the games in. That's the key, is to get the games in, as many as they can, so they keep that qualifying up for conference positioning and conference ability to compete in the conference championship.
Now, does it really show off how great our athletes are that we can have this many road games and this much switch around and still be a top contender in the Summit League?
You know, it really does. I think it shows the resilience of our student athletes, their ability to adjust. And I would say our spring sport athletes go into the season a lot more willing to face those adversity than some of our other sports. Obviously, indoor sports don't face that. Your fall sports typically aren't going to face that. But I think our spring sport athletes go in and say, hey, we never know what the weather's going to be like. Let's be prepared to adjust. If we get home games, great. If we don't, we just need to work through it. And it really does. I think your point is well taken. That it says a lot about them as individuals that they can just go and perform and keep focused on the task at hand.
Now, Lynn, has softball ever had a season where they don't get a single home game?
Well, I hope this isn't the first one. I don't know, Jean. Do you have any idea?
I don't recall of not getting at least some home games.
Yeah, I think this would be the first if it were to happen, Jake. And even going back in our history, I think we've always been able to play. So that's what's going to happen this year as well. We're going to get competition in.
Well, hopefully for all the fans out there, we can get some baseball and softball games coming back to Fargo. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Jean. On behalf of Lynn, Dorn, and Jean Taylor, I'm Jake Cheetah, and thank you for watching.
Welcome to SUTV News.
Welcome to SUTV News. Welcome to SUTV News.
SUTV News is a production of the BIson Information Network, North Dakota State University's student-run television station. We promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SUTV News on Cable 1 Channel 14, brought to you by Stop and Go.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Welcome back to COMM Week. I'm outside the NDSU Bookstore, and today we're going to focus on NDSU facilities. So I'm here with Mike Ellingson, the Director of Facilities on campus. So Mike, I think I speak for everybody when I say the snow this past yesterday was unexpected in the spring, and today campus was delayed 2 hours. So just tell me a little bit about what yesterday looked like.
Yeah, yesterday one of the nice things is I'm on the committee with the state climatologist, and he's able to share in-depth information on how the storm is, the way it's moving, the direction, how long it's supposed to last, and that committee also helps make the determination. Does school stay? Is it late? Should it be canceled? All those things. But one of the things on the facility side that we try to do is how long do we think it'll take before we can get the campus moved, all of the snow removed. And based on that, our crew came in at 1 o'clock this morning and started moving snow. We knew it was going to be wet, but we did have good pavement, so we knew we were going to get it scraped down. And so this morning, 10 o'clock, the campus was looking pretty good.
So it sounds like that's a lot of work and a lot of coordinating to get in. So do you have like a certain plan or a certain way that you do things?
Yeah, right now we have a group as many as 12 different people that will call in. There's different pieces of equipment. We do have some skid loaders, we do have payloaders, we have trucks, we have blades, and then the campus is set up organized in sections. And so one person's responsible for doing this section, another person in another section. And that's how we can kind of get different parts of the campus done all at the same time.
So what would you say is probably your biggest challenge in this?
The challenge is we have cars that are parked there at all times. We have people that are trying to come in at 4 o'clock. Like we do have workers that show up at 4 to do cleaning on campus. You've got just people driving. Where do you pile the snow? The challenge is the wet snow, the amount of snow. Did we have piles before? There's just a lot of challenges. And then our campus is a very large campus, and we have a lot of cars and activities.
All right, so speaking of challenges, Menard Hall, I feel like that's been a pretty big challenge. So how is Menard Hall renovation coming?
Menard Hall, it seems like we're on the downhill stretch. They are in the 1901, the last section of the building to be renovated. They are putting in doors on the 3rd floor. They'll go to the 4th floor and then go down to 2nd and 1st. There should be sheetrocking on the 1st floor, so we are anticipating, we've asked the contractors to be all finished in June here and have everything all punched out by the end of June. So that's our target date. And then we might have to move a few people in July, but our goal is in the next week or two we'll start moving a few more people into Menard as areas become open for them to move into.
All right, so there's classes going on in Menard Hall at the same time as the building's being renovated. So how do you plan that out? Like, how does that work? It's not necessarily our first choice, but because of lack of space on campus, the premium for these classrooms, we just need to keep them in use as much as we can. So it's something that we have to talk to the contractors about to let them know, these will be occupied. The times, if there gets to be some really noisy activity, we try to have them do it before hours or after hours. Some of the concrete work we had earlier in January, we had them do before school started. So it's a challenge to have construction activities in the same building that people are occupying. So why did you decide to renovate Menard instead of just build a whole new building? And it would have been back in 2005, the plans were looking at what do we do with Menard at that point.
And an architect was hired at that point, and they ran the evaluation of tearing it down, the cost of doing that versus renovating what was there. And the determination was it was as cheap to, at that point, to renovate than it was to tear it down. And then the other thing is Menard is a historical building, and you always try to have that play into the things. And there's a lot of people that want to keep a historical building like Menard around. So.
Okay, so your job seems like you do a lot of different types of things. What is probably your favorite part of your job?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, it's the fun thing about my job is it's so broad. You know, it might be working with projects one day, it might be planning another day, helping this department try to figure out their problems or their future plans over here. I would say the funnest part is the variety. No 2 days are ever the same.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us today. After this break, we're going to take a look at Elizabeth Crawford and Julie Fudge talking about the Ad Club competition.
Watch SU TV News on Cable 1. Produced by students of BIson Information Network, we promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SU TV News on Cable 1 Channel 14. Brought to you in part by Stop and Go.
Welcome to SU TV News.
Welcome to SU TV News. Welcome to SU TV News.
SU TV News is a production of the BIson Information Network, North Dakota State University's student-run television station. We promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SU TV News on Cable 1 Channel 14. Brought to you by Stop and Go.
Welcome back to COMM Week. I'm Nicole Johnson outside the NDSU Bookstore, and right now I'm sitting down with two PRSSA students who just competed in a campaign, and I'm here with Alyssa and Nate. So first, Alyssa, tell me a little bit about what the competition was.
The competition is a national competition through Public Relations Student Society of America. It's called the Bateman Competition, and each team runs a full public relations campaign, and this year the topic was bullying. So every team got to take their own stand on what they wanted to do specifically. My team did a cyberbully campaign called Trash the Trash Talk. So throughout the month of February, we implemented this entire campaign about cyberbullying.
Okay, so it seems like there's a lot of different things that go into it. Walk me through a little bit about what you did through this campaign.
The 4 months leading up to February, we got our topic and selected what specifically we wanted to do. So then it was a lot of research leading up to it, conducting surveys and interviews with the administrators in the Fargo Public School District, and kind of figuring out what we wanted to target and like age groups and what specifically we were wanting to do with the campaign. And then during the month of February we could launch our social media sites, and we have to plan an event throughout the month of February that relates to our topic. So we did a cyberbullying workshop with some students of West Fargo Middle School, and then the campaign closes on February 28th, and that's when you start doing your evaluation and putting together your proposal to send to the national competition judges.
So what would you say overall did you want out of this campaign? What was your goal?
Our goal as a team was just to make people in Fargo aware of the consequences of cyberbullying, and then personally be able to see the consequences of running an entire campaign and see how that'll help when we go into the PR field and start looking for jobs.
So how do you think that this will affect your career in the future?
I think it's really great because I have something to give to people when I am interviewing for jobs. I have a concrete proposal as this is what I've done. I have already run a campaign. So I think that'll help with employers to show that I've already done this, so I can do it as a career.
Okay, awesome. So Nate, I heard good news about your guys' campaign.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, we go into a judging process when it's all done, and our campaign was about standing up. We targeted the bystanders, not bullies, not the victims, the people in the middle, which is the greatest group of people, and wanted to inspire them to stand up for people who are hurting or being picked on. And so after that, we make a packet, and it's like basically our entire campaign summarized in 10 pages with all our artifacts and everything like that. And then there's I think it's about 20 judges that we send it to at the headquarters in New York. They look through everything, and there's, I think, 68 teams this year. The judges look through each team's presentation, and through that they select honorable mention and then the top 3 finalists. And yesterday we got a phone call from the national headquarters that told us that my team had been placed in the top 3, and then on May 10th we'll be presenting to the judges again to see who makes number 1, 2, and 3 overall nationally. So it's very cool.
Awesome. So what was probably your favorite memory?
I think the favorite memory for me was, it had to be either the kickoff or the ending, the finale we called it at the end. The ending was really great because we were able to show a bunch of pictures throughout the month to the students that we worked with. And as we did that, we had this music video playing, and the students in the gymnasium all started clapping, and we asked them to wear red shirts, and I think 95% of the students were wearing red shirts, and it really just showed that all the work we had put into the campaign paid off, and that the students actually believed in it. And so having them participate that way and seeing their reaction was just something I'll never forget.
So what do you think was a big challenge that you had?
I think in our area especially, we have a challenge that not a lot of areas have, which is the weather. And so it's dealing with, we can only do stuff inside. We can't go do activities outside, or it takes a lot of extra preparation. It's winter storms that cancel school. I know their other team had some problems with school cancellations because of storms. And so that's a big challenge to overcome. And I think that we were all very successful in it. But yeah, it's putting it all together with those conditions, plus a tight budget, plus a really tight schedule. I mean, it can get it's very realistic, very real life. I think that was the best part of it, is how real life it was and how self-motivated you had to be to get it done.
Okay, so you were talking about being self-motivated.
Yeah.
Do you think that you learned anything by doing this?
Yeah, we learned so much. I think she can back me up on this, that Bateman competition gives you the opportunity to take everything you learn in class and apply it in a real life situation. It actually allows you to test yourself in a real life situation. You don't really know what the real world's going to be like. A class situation is one thing, doing a project for a teacher is one thing, but doing a project on your own, coming up with your own ideas, running your own budget, and presenting it to people who are your peers in the industry, that's a lot, and that demands a lot out of you, and it really allows you to practice what you've been taught. And for in our case, and in their case, I think we're all very successful in saying, you know what, we're confident now. I can walk into a job interview and say, look, I know how to do this. I've put together campaigns before. I've ran a budget before, and that's something I really value a lot. I think it's really special.
So if people are listening to you right now and they're like, wow, that sounds really cool, how could people get involved?
Yeah, the best way to get involved is through the PRSSA chapter here on campus. Kate Gronwald is a great one to get in touch with for that. She's a professor in the communications department, or anyone in the communications department can get you in touch with someone to get involved with it. The planning starts to take place next fall, so when you come to school next fall, you're going to want to get a hold of someone, tell them you want to be part of the team. If you're not part of PRSSA, you can become a part of it. I wasn't a part of PRSSA before this fall. I became a member specifically so I could be part of this competition. So they're really flexible. They allow you to join, and it's a great opportunity.
Well, thank you, Nate, and thank you, Alyssa, for joining me. Up next at 2:30, Ryan Nelson's going to sit down with administration and talk about some things. Thanks.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Watch SU TV News on Cable One. Produced by students of BIson Information Network, we promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SUTV News on Cable 1 Channel 14. Brought to you in part by Stop and Go.
Hello and welcome to this COMM Week SUTV 84 talk show inside the NDSU Memorial Union, right in front of the NDSU Bookstore. We're here today with a couple of NDSU administration, Vice President for Student Affairs, Prakash Matthew, and Director of Residence Life, Ryan Nostrom. Guys, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now,
good to be here.
It's hard to believe, but we're almost done with another year at NDSU. So I want to talk about this year, whether it be Residence Life or Student Affairs. I mean, has this year been unique? Is there anything different? But it's almost coming to a close here.
Well, if I were to talk about the year in a summation, I think I would say that what stands out the most in my mind is the BIson family. And when the freshman students come to the orientation program, we talk about the family, and they don't know what that means. I think we have demonstrated every way possible during this past year. When we had high points and the low points. On the high points, we won the national championship, brought our community together, people together, and that happens in our own families. When we have good times, I think the families get together and celebrate and have. So it was a wonderful celebration for us. But we also had our low points. We lost several students, and that was a tragedy. And so when we had, same thing happens in our family. When we have low points, I think also that brings the family together. So I think this was a year where we truly demonstrated what the BIson family is all about. I think in the true spirit, we were there for the good times as well as for the low points.
Right?
Yeah, I think every year is unique for us, particularly in Residence Life when you consider how many of our spaces are first-year students. That brings us a whole new population each year to work with and to work through both those successes and those achievements that we see as part of the NDSU BIson family, as well as some of the hardships and challenges that we have. So I think this year has definitely been unique and look forward to closing strongly for this year.
Obviously, NDSU continues to grow. I mean, the student population has grown exponentially. What changes, can we expect from a student? You're both very involved with students. What changes can we expect to see from a residence hall standpoint or from an administration standpoint regarding students?
Mm-hmm. I think what we are anticipating, it is a legislative year. I think at least for the broader perspective, I think more than anything else, we are looking for a good funding model. And most of you know that we are the top 100 universities in the nation. Carnegie level, that is not an award that is given to somebody. And we had earned it. And that means we are a great university and one of the best in the world. So even with that caliber, we were second from the bottom in terms of the funding. And fortunately, our governor, and in the history of North Dakota, we never had a good funding model. We believe that what he proposed for the state of North Dakota and for the universities across the state, it is a great funding model. And now the legislators are taking a look at it. It went through the Senate, but we are hoping that this will go through even the House. And if the final outcome is such that if we can get the funding model, and what is good about it is because I think there is some consistency there, and there is also treating the three tiers, and particularly with the two research institutions, similarly, so that we can work together and we can have the competition in the football field and other areas. But at the same time, I think for two research institutions working together, I think that is something that I can wait for it to happen. And growth has happened, but that is, if you want to talk about the growth, I can talk about that also.
Ryan, has there been any talk, lately about adding another residence hall? I know there's a STEM research building that is kind of in the legislature right now, but as this student population continues to grow, you got to find a place to put them. So what changes can we expect on a residence hall standpoint?
Sure, absolutely. Our job is to support the institution both academically as well as just being able to provide the type of quality facilities that we're used to having for our on-campus students. And so we always are in conversation of what is next for us. And that's both in terms of our growth for new facilities as well as the remodeling and the enhancements that we can do in our existing facilities. So it is an ongoing conversation. It's watching our enrollment numbers and looking to make sure that we have a good balance of not only meeting our obligation and our needs for our first-year students, but also providing opportunities for our campus students of our upper class residents. For those that want to stay with us, their sophomore, junior, senior, and their graduate years, that they have options for us. And so when we look at the Niskanen expansion as an example, we really saw that as a first phase of what more we could do up in our apartments areas to provide enhanced experiences for those. We're also looking at our existing facilities, whether it be the way our bathrooms are configured, making them more private, more accessible for our students, to just the things such as painting and carpeting and furnishings in the room, so that not only do we have good facilities now, but we have facilities that are going to be relevant 20, 30, 40 years from now, regardless of what that population is.
Combined, you've both been here for a total of about 40 years now. You've both gotten degrees from this university. So, I mean, you obviously have to have a vision for what you expect NDSU to be in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. What do you expect that to be, and what do you need to get that done? Obviously, we continue to win awards athletically. Residence Life has won a number of awards recently, the top 108 research universities. But where do you see NDSU going in 30 years from now?
I'm going to say that I think number one has to be our academic rigor. Almost 59% of the students who are coming to North Dakota State University because of our academic credibility. Okay, so years ago we had to go and recruit the students because the neighbors thought it was a good idea, or my neighbor kid is going to go to school. That the different reasons. But now they hear about how good this university is. So we are in. I think we cannot take it lightly that we are in the top 100 universities. When I'm talking about the Carnegie Level 1, we got there now. How are we going to keep it there and even go to the next level? So that's a task that we have. So looking ahead, I think the students need to know that they are getting a great education and for their personal growth and the professional growth, and they are here in the top-notch university in the nation. So we have work to do in order for us to keep it there in the level 1. And that I would have to say that is one of them. Number two, I ought to say with the student leadership that we have here. I tell you, I've been here, I've been in the advisory role for 30-some years with the student government. Every year, the caliber of the student leadership that we see, I tell you, and every year pray that, I hope we get a good group of students coming forward. And they outdo the previous year. You know why? Because their slogan is, leave the university better than they found it. And they are demonstrating that in every way possible. So it is not a competition. They know that they have a task of leaving the university better than they found it. And they are demonstrating that I want to take every one of them home and adopt every single one, because I'm so proud of the leadership that we have here on the campus. And that's what we're looking forward to. And I think this is not going to stop. We are on a move, and we are on a journey, and it's an exciting journey.
I think for me, when you ask me like a vision for the institution in the future, I really think we have arrived as that nationally known institution for a lot of our programs, obviously in our athletic area, but also the type of students that we have. But I think nationally, although we're known, sometimes we are underestimated. And so what I see is going forward is that we continue to build on that national reputation to the point that other schools and our colleagues and prospective students don't underestimate just how nationally renowned we are as an institution. I think of a school where I'd listen to their vice president talk about the history of their school, and this is a school that's very nationally known for many different things, and they talked about their transition in the 80s and how they went from that regional institution to nationally. And the funny thing is, it was right when we were kind of halfway through some of our major growth and athletics making their transition, and it sounded so familiar to where NDSU was headed that I see that we're very much on course to do that, and I'm excited to see where we can be nationally amongst all of our peer institutions.
We're here with Vice President for Student Affairs Prakash Matthews and Director of Residence Life Ryan Nostrom. We'll be back with more right after this SUTV84 talk show.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Welcome to SUTV News.
Welcome to SUTV News. Welcome to SUTV News.
SU TV News is a production of the BIson Information Network, North Dakota State University's student-run television station. We promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SU TV News on Cable 1 Channel 14, brought to you by Stop and Go.
Welcome back to this SU TV 84 talk show in front of the NDSU Bookstore. We're joined by Vice President for Student Affairs Prakash Matthew and Director of Residence Life Ryan Nostrom. Guys, we've talked about kind of what you do and what your vision is for NDSU. Now I want to get a little bit more personal. You both work with students on a day-to-day basis. So talk about what advice would you give to a freshman who's new to NDSU, doesn't know a whole lot about Fargo. What advice are you going to give them?
I think this is an institution where higher learning is taking place. So it has to do with something with learning. And my advice would be take every opportunity that they can in terms of learning and to the fullest. But at the same time, be aware of the fact that you can get too involved. So balance that with all the commitments that they have, and they understand the reason, the primary reason that they're here is to get that degree. And so I hope at the same time, this is an institution. There's many, many opportunities for them to get involved and utilize every opportunity they can with the understanding, they also understand the limitations that they have.
I think for me, my advice would be that they find that balance for them. I want our students to be involved, but to be involved in something that means something to them, something that resonates well with them. And for some, that may be their hall governments, that may be student government. For others, it could be as simply as the Frisbee Club. And so they need to find that for themselves and then strike the balance so that not only do we know these students as somebody who excelled in student leadership opportunities and their involvement on campus, but we also know that they've excelled in the classroom and have prepared themselves best to be competitive in the job market. So when they leave NDSU, they're getting the type of offers that they had dreamed of having when they first selected NDSU.
How important is it? What I really enjoy about this campus is walking to class each day. There isn't a person, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't see somebody I recognize. So talk about that this is a big university that you can meet all kinds of new people, but it's small enough that you're going to recognize people. How important is that to just have that one-on-one familiar knowledge with people?
Okay. We are a medium size and not too large, not too small. But the beauty of the whole thing is, I go back to the first theme that I talked about, the BIson family. The personal touch that we provide to the students, whether that is faculty, staff, doesn't matter. When they walk into the admission office the first day, in terms of as we are recruiting students, and when they get the first impression, I tell you, if they visit our campus here, they have a good impression because our people on this campus do care, and create a sense of belonging. And when I talk to the students, and I tell you, majority of our students, they bleed yellow and green. You know why? You know why? Because they have the sense of belonging, and you make them part of the family, and making that connection. And who makes that happen? All the members of the university community. They make it happen, and they give that personal touch.
I love walking across campus and knowing that I'm going to see students that I'm working with today, but also students that I worked with a few years ago. But I think what's even more important about the sense of family and the connections as you walk across campus is that it can start with simply that as you walk across campus, if you say hello to people that you don't know, you get a genuine smile back and they say hello to you. And that's what I really appreciate and what creates this environment where we can be a medium-sized campus yet feel like a very close, small-knit family, is that folks do that and they're willing to put themselves out there and say hello to somebody maybe they didn't know and share a smile on a day that maybe the weather isn't cooperating and being what it is that we had hoped it would be.
I want to close with your favorite story. You've both been here for a considerable amount of time. Give me your favorite story of working with a student that came into your office, anything it can be, just something that's always going to stick out in your mind.
Oh, that's a hard. Ryan,
yeah,
go for
I'll
it.
go first. All right, I was thinking about that. You know, it may seem like a cliche, but for me, the highlight moment right now really is the national championship games. And for me personally, but also for the students, I had the opportunity to go to both of those games with my wife and to experience it as a fan, but more so to be out on the field afterwards, during the celebration, during the trophy thing, and to see the students that I know today that work in our department and attend the school, but also to reconnect with the hundreds of students that I knew in the past that have now graduated, and to truly see that once a Bison, always a Bison is true, not only if I'm a student athlete, but also for our students that are NDSU fans, and that they would make that trek. That is just, it stands out for me right now, is not necessarily one game or the other, but both of those games and both those opportunities to just see the genuine excitement, see some of my students who now have kids of their own up on their shoulders, teaching them what it is to be a Bison. I cannot find a better memory than that.
I have to say, going back again to the family theme, and tomorrow night is the State of the University address for the students, and the parents will be here. And I often talk to the student leadership saying that they are also part of my family. I go to the parents and tell them, you need to share your children with me because they are also part of my family. How that is demonstrated, I'll tell you what. And I have had several students, half a dozen, every year, I get Father's Day cards. And first, they think it is a joke, but at the same time, these are the students who left here. I have a gentleman who used to be ATO president, and he served in Iraq, and I got a Father's Day card. And so I get Father's Day card because they, after some time, they believe that, yes, they too are part of my family. So I think that demonstrates that we are truly a family, and I think that cannot be any more meaningful than that.
Director of Residence Life, Ryan Nostrom, and Vice President for Student Affairs, Prakash Matthews. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with more later in front of the NDSU Bookstore. We're joined by former Bison Information Network General Manager Andrew Young, coming up in just a little while. Thanks for watching.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Welcome to SUTV News.
Welcome to SUTV News. Welcome to SUTV News.
SUTV News is a production of the BIson Information Network, North Dakota State University's student-run television station. We promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SUTV News on Cable 1 Channel 14, brought to you by Stop and Go.
Welcome to this SUTV 84 talk show in front of the NDSU Bookstore inside the Memorial Union. We're joined on this show by former BIN General Manager Andrew Young. Andrew, thanks for being here today.
It's really great to be back, Ryan.
Now, talk to me first about before we get into your experience with the BIN, talk to me about what you're currently doing.
Sure. Well, I graduated in December, Ryan, and since then, actually a few months before that, I started working for Shields, which is a Fargo-based company. We're around the United States, but I'm in their corporate office doing all their video for them, TV commercials, social media video, all their creative media.
Talk to me about your experience within the BIN. You were general manager for a year and a half-ish. You were the second ever general manager and really kind of the big growth period for BIN. So talk about your experience as BIN GM.
Sure, Ryan, exactly right. I was right there when it was growing. I had the opportunity, the advantage of being there when it was starting, when it was growing. So really, my experiences with the Bison Information Network were as hands-on as you can get. You're there, obviously, you know what it was like. But even now that it's grown, even now that it's included more students, included different services, you're still really able to get hands-on experience there. And I mean, that's what really kind of encompasses my experience at the BIN, hands-on experience.
Why did you ever join, you're from Napoleon, North Dakota, small town, why did you ever get involved in BIN? And did you ever see it expanding as much as it has?
Well, I think when you come to campus, you get that cliche advice from everybody, whether it's from the president or whether it's from your student body president to your peers. Get involved, get involved, get involved. And so, at the time, I was thinking about majoring in communications. I knew that my interest was in video, was in film, was in creative media. And so, I found the BIson Information Network, which at the time, was in a closet in Menard Hall. To now it's having its own state-of-the-art studio. But at the time, it was a very small organization. I joined it simply to make YouTube videos, and I had made a couple with some students there, and just in the few months that I was involved, watching it grow in those few months was phenomenal.
BIN has been around for basically 5 years now, in its new building for 4-ish. So talk about how much support was given to this young organization to get it to the point where it is now, to have all this state-of-the-art equipment.
Well, and you can't grow without support. That's with anything. And North Dakota State University really just pushed BIN's back. They really gave it what it needed to grow, gave it what it needed to succeed. And you really couldn't have done that, without a community like NDSU. You really could not have. And I mean, you're exactly right. That's what made BIN grow. Of course it was the students. Of course it was the dedication from students like you and the students who are currently in it. But the university's dedication and commitment to helping and realizing that this is an area where the university can grow and has. I mean, now, I've heard that the BIN has recruited students, coming to college, to this college, just for the program, and so it's been so supportive.
What was it like for you to watch it grow? I mean, did you expect the BIN to be where it is today? And I mean, where do you expect it to be in the next 5 years, 10 years?
I don't think that when you join an organization that is growing as rapidly as the BIN is, I don't think you can expect anything. I think you just kind of fly by the seat of your pants and go with it. And so, of course, when I joined the BIN, if I was able to see the future, 5 years, or 1 year even, there's no way I would have been able to realize or to see, what happened to it. And I think anybody can say that the center right now. It's still growing so rapidly. I've been out of college, for a few months, and I've been, away from the position of general manager for about a year and a half now. And just in the progress that's seen since I've been gone has been 200 times the amount that I saw when I was there. So you can't, with an organization like this, a program like this, in a university like this, you literally can't define where it's going to go.
We're back with former general manager Andrew Young coming up after this SUTV 84 talk show in front of the NDSU Bookstore.
Since 1982, the Summit League has been achieving excellence. Beyond providing a quality education to more than 140,000 students, the league continues to strengthen its reputation of being nationally competitive in athletics. Today, more than 3,000 elite student athletes at 9 institutions embody the vision, purpose, and innovation the Summit League represents. These young men and women are reaching for the summit in both athletic and academic endeavors.
Watch SUTV News on Cable One. Produced by students of BIson Information Network, we promise to bring you all the latest news and sports from the campus of North Dakota State University. Watch SUTV News on Cable One Channel 14. Brought to you in part by Stop and Go.
Welcome back to COMM Week here on the North Dakota State University campus. We're outside the NDSU Bookstore inside the Memorial Union. We're joined by former BIN General Manager Andrew Young. And Andrew, besides being former BIN general manager and now working for Shields. You have a laundry list of great things you've accomplished in BIN. So talk to me about some of those other experiences you were able to get.
Sure. I mean, well, besides being involved in the BIN right away my freshman year, I was able to land an internship with ABC Network News my sophomore year of college, and so I moved out to New York City for a while and interned for Good Morning America. I did some intern work for ABC's digital network. Came back to NDSU for some more college, and went back to New York and worked for Diane and Sawyer for quite a while, and I'm still a freelance producer for her show. Came back to college and then got the opportunity to be a freelance producer for the Academy of Country Music Awards show. Came back to college, and this is where I currently am, is with Shields.
Talk about those two experiences. You are from a town very small in size. You're a North Dakota State kid, not very well known for its broadcasting program yet, but you're able to land some of the most prestigious internships in the country. Talk about that. How did you come about that?
Yeah, and it is the BIN that prepares you for them. You say that it's not known for its prestigious program, which is absolutely true. The BIson Information Network is not known anywhere, but the experiences and the technology that it has available is unmatched. I mean, you can go to universities that are known for their programs, but you aren't going to be able to deal with the technology with the students, with the faculty that you are at NDSU. And so it was those experiences that really prepared me to get those, like you said, prestigious internships. Those internships that students might not normally look at and say, oh, I should apply for that. I could get it. But you shouldn't ask that question if you're involved in the BIN, because the BIN really prepares you for those types of jobs, for those types of careers, for those types of internships.
Now, besides you, there's been a laundry list of people that only in 4 or 5 years have gone on from BIN to find careers. Gretchen Helmstead, Becky Parker, Brandon Clark. These were all people that you got to work with. Matthew Kurtz out in Bismarck. So talk about that. Is it satisfying for you as a former general manager to see these people that you directly oversee, to see them now succeeding in the broadcasting industry?
Well, and that's what's nice too, Ryan, because being a general manager of the BIson Information Network, I really had a hand in the curriculum, in the programs that it provided. And so it's really, really nice to know that it wasn't just one student who went on to do great things for the BIN. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't something that only happens, once in a lifetime. The BIN really does prepare not only me, but it prepares every student who steps in those doors, is getting the skill set they need for a career, is learning, experiences that are going to help them, in their futures, and they're getting those hands-on experiences that are allowing them to do that.
To close this show, I want to talk about, think back to your days at BIN. I want to hear about your favorite memory that you're always going to take away from the BIN. What are you always going to think back to when you think about North Dakota State University and the BIN?
Well, I think, you and I talked about how it's grown. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was, my last new show with the BIN. And I remember sitting in the director's desk at that time, or the director's chair, and just being surrounded by the talent that I was surrounded with. It was, the BIN at one point was a place, that students came because it was a hobby they could do. But at that point, when I left, it was a place where students came because they could apply their talents and they could really learn from the organization.
Former BIN General Manager Andrew Young, now a big part of Shields here in Fargo. We'll be back with more after this. This has been an SUTV 84 talk show, part of COMM Week here inside the Memorial Union. Thanks for watching.